As the citizens and others come running out, the reindeer Vixen has decided to take point and is leading into the snowfield. Yeah, this is what I want. And I'm just sort of moving. You guys can move yourselves. You are happen to be in this selection area.
Ice cream got off center.
He's a mess.
And as they, actually, let's go ahead and move the whole crowd. And again, to reiterate, this is more representative. There are more individuals here than you actually see. I just wasn't going to put a couple hundred sprites on the field.
Yeah, that's fair.
And once they've gotten a fair distance, the group sort of slows down, and they all turn around to look back at the city. Do any of you desire to do so as well?
Yes.
Road will do so as well.
All right. As you look back, you see these great big pillars have reached up and connected to the vortex up above, and a dark haze has begun to descend upon the city and encapsulate the whole thing. And before long, you can no longer see rain, just simply a large cloud of darkness where the proud city once stood.
Road is in utter disbelief.
And despite this, you still can see a small trickle of people coming out through the front gate. And among them is a reindeer with a light coat with a few guards following her. Just pretend they're guards.
I thought it was Velvet for a second, and I was gonna...
Making her way slowly towards the group. And the one named Vixen comes running forward and embraces that one and looks at her and says, Dawn, are you alright? Please, speak to me. What happened? You're the Archmage. What happened here? Dawn? Dawn, are you okay? Dawn? I believe, Apollo, you have an exceptionally high perception, yes?
I believe...
Okay.
She has 25, I have a 21, and I think the next highest after that is like 19-ish? 20. Oh, I am right next to you then. I thought you were higher. My bad.
Well, both of you can see this reindeer, her expression is just vacant. There's nothing there. To basically give you guys a good expression or a good idea of what it is, you're looking at someone who's completely shell-shocked. Like, all of her movements are pure instinct. Her cognitive functions apparently have shut down, as it were.
I'm pretty sure that's the whole group.
I'm okay.
Is it more than cognitive?
Vixen takes a deep breath and takes this reindeer named Dawn and sort of lies her gently on the snow, where she just sort of sits there unmoving. She looks back at the city, and as a few more survivals sort of trickle in, and there's a small wave of skeleton zombies that sort of come out, and she orders several guards to go up and form a barricade on the road. And it's about this time the sun has begun to set. She then turns and begins barking orders to the various citizens to start erecting shelters, to start digging into the snow, remove that tree over there. And at least for a little while, the proverbial ball is in your guys' court.
So I had two things I wanted to do.
Vixen agrees and orders a couple of guards to set. Well, the undead clash against the guards and they push them back, and then she sets up a permanent contingent to act as, a semi-perimeter around the civilians. Derp,
Yes.
you spoke up.
So the first thing I'd want to do is ask Red what the heck just happened, and by that I mean roll an Arcana check.
All right.
And then I'd like to look for... So there are a couple of people in the city I was going to be meeting up with, but I don't know if they've been kind of created yet, so I don't have names for them.
Fair enough.
So that step 2 would be finding out, seeing if I can find them among the crowd first.
All right. Before I get back to you, Apolia, what are you doing? I'm guessing from this ice barrier you're creating a partial fortification or something like that? Cool. All right. Is there anything else you want to do? The idea is I'm going to see what each of you want to do, and then I will address you guys once I figure out sort of where you guys are heading with your characters, as it were. So is there anything else you want to do with Apolia? Okay. Road, is there anything in particular you wanted to do for a little bit?
After the events that have transpired, Road is maybe lost is too harsh of a word, but he's just so much has happened, and well, for one, oh shoot, I should have, whatever. He's going to look around and pretty much help anyone who's, I guess, sort of tend to the wounded and try to. He's going to give a sort of sideways glance to Apolia, and it becomes a little more, not stern, but it's a glance of recognition. But he doesn't act anything on it before he pretty much moves to. Oh wait, actually, I should check a thing that I haven't checked. Hold on. Master race list. This is going to be, of course, a silly question.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have, I guess rain probably isn't my natural habitat.
I assume you weren't born and raised here.
Well,
I mean, your character.
Yeah, well, he wasn't born and raised here, but he spent a lot of time here. Probably not. Well.
No, your natural habitat is wherever you're born and raised.
Oh, so that's useless. But, okay, that's fine. I suppose Road is going to pretty much go around helping any of the wounded and trying to seek out anyone who's organizing, like, sort of food gathering expeditions or whatever, because he could be helpful in that sort of thing. And, because of all of this, and because the suit is not, his suit isn't actually a tuxedo, it's a piece of magical armor with a glamour spell over it.
Right.
So it's not going to do much in the way of protection from this elements. Normally of course it's always cold here, but it's definitely colder outside the city. So, Road is going to cast a spell. And while I guess it is silly in sight, it's in his mind right now. All he's thinking is practicality, as uh, um, around his chest, effectively in that sort of area, the hair on his body increases, and funnily enough, he grows his own sort of set of reindeer floof that gives him a little bit of warmth as he goes around and everything of the sort.
All right.
Also, he kind of pulls out the deed to his house and just utters a sort of, I guess I don't need this anymore.
All right. Fawn
Uh,
and Saint. I have a sneaky suspicion your fates or your immediate fates are sort of tied together. So, Fawn, what are you going to do?
I'm going to step over the road. Keep it.
He nods. I will. Also, I'm not doing the voice,
Don't worry about it. Anything else, Fawn?
As I
Go ahead.
as I turn to look at Rain, look back at the citizens, sigh. There is only one more thing I can do for the people.
All right. What sort of song are you performing?
Uh, Basically, I'm going to strike up some sort of song to try to raise spirits.
All
I
right.
know it's kind. I know it's kind of impossible given the situation, but
Well, you just got a 30 in your performance, so if nothing else, your music will help put many people at ease. And Vixen sort of looks over you with a look at, oh, why didn't I think of that? With a look on her face for a split second, and then nods very appreciatively. Rogue, by the way, give me 3 medicine checks, would you? And then
Okay.
finally, Saint, what are you up to?
Uh,
Um,
medicine isn't actually that good.
That's fine.
Part of
Just
what he's going to probably end up doing is magic, if he
that's
needs
fine.
to.
Just get me. This is to determine who is most injured and who needs the most help.
Okay.
All right. Saint, what are you doing?
taller than most of the crowd, and seemingly unbothered by the cold, Saint's going to look around for Father or one of his representatives.
Perception check, please.
Oh, investigation or perception?
Perception, please. Can you guys hear my chair squeaking?
no,
I can't.
not
Okay.
passively.
All right. You don't see anyone.
It lets out a distorted noise that could pass as a sigh, then goes to the sidelines and lies down in the snow and just watches the crowd.
All right. Let's see here. So, Derp, you were making an Arcana check, and then you were looking for individuals. Give me a perception check, and I will address your Arcana in a hot second.
Oh boy.
Road.
Mhm.
Uh, it is not inherently easy to tell, partly because it's kind of a bit of a chaos. Vixen is doing her darndest to try and keep order, and many people are just panicking and freaking out. But Fawn's song seems to help quite a bit as nerves sort of calm down and you're able to more thoroughly assess what is going on. In essence, your first check was trying to figure out who is injured, trying to locate them, which was near impossible. But now that things have calmed down, you're more able to easily locate who is injured and provide assistance. And okay. Red, actually, you know what? I'm going to write you a whisper because Red would be speaking to you and you alone.
Group huddle.
I need to put this to the side so it's not in the way. All right. Shoot. I forget what his personality is like. Oh well, we'll worry about it later.
Just summarize the information and I'll like do the mental interpretation.
Okay. Okay. Secret message sent.
Secret message received.
You, at least at a first glance, you don't see any of the contacts. There, you saw, like you saw a couple of them while you were there, but you don't see them now. Whether it's because there's just too much chaos, perhaps you're a bit jumbled, but at the moment you can't spy anyone that you recognize.
Gotcha.
And I think that's basically everyone. And eventually, as the night wears on, some impromptu shelters are built, and the citizens sort of begin to hunker down as Vixen does her best to try and maintain order. The other reindeer who showed up, who apparently Vixen gave some sort of special treatment to, remains near comatose and unresponsive. Whoever she is, the guards give her great care and make sure to place her in the most comfortable spot they can find. For those of you who would like to know who she is, you can give me a history or arcana check. Fawn, you don't need to roll. You know who she is.
Arcana or history, you say?
Yes.
Being Vixen or Dawn?
Dawn.
Okay.
Hey there,
You-
Laura. Okay.
You've been rubbing shoulders with the upper echelon of Rain for a while, so you know who they all are. Okay.
I'll make a check for it as well.
Alright. Okay.
Not a nat one. I'm surprised.
You don't necessarily know a lot. You know sort of who she is, but the rest of you, particularly Apolia, recognize her. That is Dawn Snowleaf, or officially known as Dawn Snowdawn. She is the acting head. Well, she is the head of the Snowdawn family, which is one of the leading noble families of Rain. In essence, she is one of the upper echelon who basically control the city and everything that's going on inside. In addition to that, she is also the city's archmage. Her family, their noble house, they reside in what used to be an arcane university. It has long since gone defunct, but their family has kept up a tradition of teaching magic to various individuals. They typically take an apprentice for a few years, teach them the arcane arts, and then let it back out and take up a new one. And Dawn is, in a sense, not only the acting head, but the current archmage. And in essence, she's probably the most powerful spellcaster in all of Rain. Probably.
Oh.
and she is currently, well, non-responsive.
Probably should have her on my important information page.
That said, the night passes without much incident, and the giant elephant from the market appears to also be quite good at helping gather crowds and sort of herd them. It takes him a while. While Fawn was fairly quick on the response, the same thing with Vixen, it took the elephant a little bit of time to sort of gather himself before he started sort of projecting a massive personality and just, reining in people and helping them to feel better about themselves, as he also assisted with Vixen's attempt to direct people. And all the while, there's another reindeer who's actually missing antlers, who heads over to Dawn and just sort of stays near her. Doesn't really say much, doesn't really do much, and he's actually wearing a cloak that's covering him, but you can tell he doesn't have any antlers. I just didn't put a cloak on him because I can't sprite cloaks. And you can also identify who this is with a history check, although the DC is much higher.
Would you like me to make this check as well?
I mean, anyone who wants to make the check is free. You don't have to make the check. It's an optional history check if you'd like. Nope. Well, Apolia, you sure know. Wow, okay. It makes sense, Fawn. You would have no idea who this is. And it makes sense for the most part. You guys would know. That is Carl Snowdawn. Carl Snowdawn he's the youngest of the family, and he's not very well known. He's very quiet, keeps to himself, is rarely seen outside the family complex, and even rarely speaks to the family members. In fact, that's basically all you know, Road, is that's Carl. He is a member of the family, but you don't know much else. Silk, you've heard of Carl because apparently, while the Snowdawn family is pretty out there and they tend to involve themselves with a lot of what's going on in the city, Carl doesn't really do much, but from what you understand, he's more of a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. Also, apparently, he's a bit of an eccentric. You're not sure.
I like me then.
Apolia, what did you roll? 17? Good night. All right. So, Carl Snowdawn, I don't know how you know this information, but that's not important. Carl Snowdawn he's an anomaly in the family. He doesn't, whereas all members of the family are expected to take an apprentice, he doesn't have an apprentice. And he has very little to do with the affairs of the state or with the affairs of the city in general. Instead, spends most of his time alone and in research, and as well as studying other things. What you happen to know, somehow, is that apparently he has an acute interest in politics, both foreign and domestic. And though he's never shown anything from it, he is, well, you happen to know he hoards a lot of knowledge in this regard. The night passes without too much incident. And when morning comes, not much has changed in regards to the city. And from the city comes, again, a steady trickle of various survivors and occasionally the undead that come out. And once the sun rises, Vixen speaks to the quiet one over here. He nods quietly and mutters a small incantation, causing Vixen to glow for just a brief second. No Arcana checks needed. Those of you who have any magical knowledge know that it's a simple spell to amplify her voice. As she turns towards the motley group. Citizens of Rain, as far as I know, I'm the last surviving noble of the city. Dawn is unresponsive, and Carl, for his part, though you do not know Carl, but he is technically one of the leading nobles. But he will not be doing this. As far as I know, I am the de facto leader of Rain as it exists. But I do not think our city is lost. Look, she turns towards the city and points with a hoof. There are those who still come from the city. So all the night they have come, which means the city can be escaped, which also means the city can be entered into. I think we can take back our beloved city. I do not think it shall remain in the grip of whatever vile evil force has taken it. But I do not think we can do this alone. We shall have to call upon the other nations for help, to send to us those who are willing to help us take back our home. I do not think I should go. But I should think that if we were to pick a small group to represent our city, those who can go and deliver our message of pleas, of help for us, then I think we can take it back what we have lost. She turns and looks towards Fawn. Fawn, you have long since been a representative of our city. Will you continue to do this now?
You hardly have to ask, Vixen.
And Fawn, he looks at her, or she looks at her. The disaster you see back there, she points. I am sorry to tell you this, but it is all Oystein's fault. She's being truthful.
What?
Your employer was an agent of evil. Behind our backs and unknowing, he performed experiments upon innocents, consorting with the darkness. And this, she points back, this is his doing. And we were all pawns in his plan. I do not know where he is, but I can only hope he is dead. She turns back and sort of has a slightly horrified expression. I'm sorry. This must be so much for you to take in.
Flip me?
Sure. Horizontally, I presume?
Yes. More than my life, I've struggled to get sick. All my life, wait. Everything I've said in Oystein's. Everything I've said in Oystein's name. I've served House Graysky faithfully.
Son, it is not your fault. You did not know. Oh, no one knew. And perhaps now may not be the best time to tell you this, but I felt that you should know this. In fact, she turns towards the group. This disaster, she points back at the city. Perhaps you know the name Oystein Greysky. He is a charming and near perfect individual. This was his dark work. All of the House Greysky was corrupt and evil and tainted to the core. And look at the terrible destruction it has wrought. But I do not think this is the end. He turns back towards Vaughn. I believe there is still hope. I believe that if we bring ourselves together, we find our friends and those who will stand with us, we can right the wrong that not only the grey skies have wrought upon us, but that we, the noble homes, have wrought upon you. It has come clear to me that if one noble could do such destruction, then something is terribly wrong. She shakes her head. But for now, we must take back our home. She turns back. Von Crystalhoof, will you speak for Rain once again? This time, no longer a puppet of evil, but a voice of hope for people who need help.
Of course.
I do not think she should go alone, however. Are there others who would be willing to take the journey?
So, I do have a question. Out of character, of course.
Mm-hmm.
How hard would it have been to overhear the conversation before Vixen kind of went public with jamming noise?
Not hard at all.
Okay, so
Like her voice was lowered to a more like person to person conversation.
yeah, but she
but it
wasn't
wasn't.
trying to hide the experiment bit.
She wasn't whispering to Vaughn.
I see. Road is going to look down and with all that's been happening, maybe another person would have forgotten about it, but not Road. Out of his sack, out of his bag, he's going to reach down and pull out the book he got this, the same day all of this happened, and
Mm-hmm.
open it up to some of the, well, I guess let's say he skimmed a little bit of it last night, I suppose, in kind of horror and amazement.
Right.
And so then he's going to flip to the end where he did see something strange before, and it's piecing together now. Oystein's experiments 1. He's going to kind of look at this and step forward to. Oh, that's too far. Well, I don't. And uh, and he's going to hold the book up, and specifically the page. I don't know what I can say about. Oh. all of this, but I happened to stumble across this piece of. Oh no, I can't say piece of leather. That's not good. This piece of. What was the plan? Heck. Uh, Sorry.
No, that's okay. Roll 20
Ostrich.
is roll 20 is dying on my end.
Oh no.
Anyways, continue.
I stumbled upon this yesterday. The keykeeper actually gave it to me, and I didn't. I couldn't quite make much of it at the time, but I think the puzzles, the pieces are falling a little more into place.
What are you getting at?
He's going to show her the page. You're kind of
Which one are you showing her?
specific. Hold on. I'll just paste it here. So
All right, hold on. I'm trying to get to roll 20, but for some reason it's just not. Like I went in, it's like, I'm sorry, there is no host to receive your call. I'm like, what? Okay.
bit odd. I posted it in the Foenum chat.
Well, I'm not going to see it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's the. Hold on.
I'm going to see it.
It's the Book of Happy.
Yeah. Well, which page are you showing her?
Happiest book. Looking at Oystein's Experiments 1 and Oystein's Complete Fusions. This is page. The pages aren't actually numbered.
Gotcha.
But it's after the chapter.
She looks at it and she says, "Why are you showing this to me?"
I'm showing it to you now because it sort of size. You could call me maybe just somewhat obsessed with fairy tales, but I think after that, we've all got to have faith in something. In this book, I think could possibly have something to do with all of that, and
I do
well,
not mean to be rude, but could
yeah.
you get 50 points?
Yeah, sorry, it's and no, I feel and heck, okay, hold on, sorry.
It's all right. What is your goal with this interaction?
Okay.
What are you aiming to
Sorry.
accomplish?
Okay, I had a thing there.
That's fine. Is it what are you looking to do here?
Well, my point is, I've been looking into this sort of stuff all my life. Maybe not this specifically, but I might as well try to help put my expertise to use.
So
I'd like to volunteer.
Ah, she nods. Also, I suppose you could have said as such with a bit quicker, yeah? She says with a slight, a half grin.
He shares it.
Okay, apparently I straight up can't get into roll 20.
Try a different browser, perhaps?
I did try a different browser.
Well, okay.
Huh.
Yeah, I had a gateway timeout for some. Whatever, it doesn't matter. At this point, I don't necessarily need the grid, so.
True.
She nods. Thank you. Are there any others who wish to step forward? By the way, if Apollya is saying something, I can't see what's being said.
Nah.
Just said nah.
Okay. She after several moments of silence, she turns towards the two. Well, it seems it shall be the two of you. But I think... There we go. Finally back.
Hey.
I think, however, it would be good for you to have, well, something of a guide. Someone to assist you in your travels. Okay. I'm finally roll 20. I can see what you said. She looks back and nods towards Apolia. Thank you for your... Thank you. It is much appreciated. By the way, your brother-in-law, you headed to the docks. The trip over rain was a surprisingly dangerous one, and you saw just how far the chaos had spread. In pretty much almost every street you saw there was chaos, confusion, panic. You saw more than just those bone and flesh creatures. You saw other creatures that seemed a bit bigger, others that seemed slightly strange. And as you passed through, you noticed a large creature that was bowling through, just causing a wave of destruction as it went through, mostly to these horrible creatures that appeared. And as you arrived to the docks, you realized that there were several ships that were doing the absolute darndest to get shoved off and into the waters away from this chaos. And you see that there were no creatures of bone or flesh, rotten flesh, popping up from the ground in the docks area, but in every other part of the city they were coming up. And you were not able to specifically spot your brother-in-law, but you saw nevertheless a surprisingly robust defense there and many civilians fleeing. So it's probably safe to assume that your brother-in-law managed to make it out. And on your way back, for a brief moment, Apollya sensed a very familiar presence that suddenly sort of manifested itself in a very powerful way. Though exactly where it happened, you couldn't quite pin down. There's so much rampant energy in the air. Knowing exactly what it was and where it came from is impossible to pin down. But nevertheless, you recognize that energy. It's just going to take a hot moment to put a hoof to it. And that said, during the night, since you had time to think about it, you realized that was your student that you felt. Apparently your student is in the city. Yes, he's fine. As that said, I think she turns. Carl, would you come forward? Yes. Carl here, he does not make it well known, but he is well versed in foreign politics and how the various governments of Rain work. I think having him along would be a valuable asset. And nevertheless, she turns and looks down. You, she points. I know you. Oh, please, roll 20. Don't break again. That was scary and annoying. This reindeer with the lute steps forward. Yes, you happen to know me? I know that you are a vagabond. As that you have seen many lands and made many friends, have you not? Well, sometimes. I've been run out of the odd town or two. Oh, phew. Surely you don't mean to consider me as a potential guide to these people, do you? I think you would not be a bad idea. I know a little of your exploits. I know that you happen to have a different approach to it than Carl here. I think you would prove also valuable, also in a slightly different way. Well, if that's the case, he takes a step back and bows. My name is Peregrine Miserthrop. Pleased to meet you, at your service. Possibly, I suppose. Traveling minstrel and, lutus extraordinaire. And I think there is one more who might be good. She turns and points at the giant elephant. You there. The elephant looks up. I have heard of you. Oh, you have heard of Dilnaz, have you? He takes a step forward, beaming. Yes, Dilnaz has traveled many lands and has made many friends, and would be deeply honored to be part of this. Although Dilnaz cannot travel quickly, Dilnaz had, he chuckles sadly, quite the caravan, although he suspects it would be fairly easy to get a new one. Vixen then looks at the group of three. I think it will be up to you to choose. Each guide, I think, will have their ups and their downs.
I think it goes without saying.
Yeah.
I feel like that choice is already made.
I mean,
yeah.
as a DM, I knew what you guys were going to pick, but it's still good to provide options.
Yeah.
Have a recurring character of these two and have them be like mass murderers because they're angry they didn't get chosen.
Like, I would have chosen Carl, because I don't know Dilnaz.
Yeah, like character-wise, like Road would probably actually prefer the Loot Man, but Dilnaz, it's still Naz.